Hello and welcome to Enterprise IT World, Mia and CIO TV.live. We are at GITEX. This is day 5, it's a final day. But still then we see so many people coming in and doing networking with each other. In our effort, we have been speaking to the CIOs and the vendors about what is their experience, whether they are getting their ROI or their intended result out of this expo. Now I have Dr. Prince Joseph. He is Group CIO for SA4 Technologies, which is part of NEST Group. He's a champion CIO and he understands the technology from very close quarters. Dr. Prince, thank you very much for taking time out and coming to our booth and speaking to Enterprise IT World, Mia.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you for having me. You guys have been doing a terrific job over the last few years. So I've been associated with you for at least 3-4 years now. And I've seen some good inputs and information that is coming through from your side as well. So the kind of research that you do and what you share, it does help me as well. So that's one of the ways that I try to keep myself updated.
Dr. Prince, first of all, I would like to start with congratulating you for winning this coveted Achievers X Award.
Thank you so much. I think I'd like to give my thanks to the jury who thought it was a worthwhile submission, and I appreciate that, really appreciate that.
Thank you. So, we are in a complete volatile world. Many geographies you can see inflation is very high, and that is affecting every continent, every geography. What are the challenges you are facing in India, or what are your views on that?
So it's an interesting question. I think the situation with the market and right now the geopolitical scenario is a little bit more complex and a little bit more intense than it was before. With every disruption, with every sort of a challenge that came into the market, there was always a need to innovate, find a way around it, tide it over so that you're able to keep sustaining the business, keep serving the customers that you have. You're also looking to see how your customers are impacted because you have to react accordingly. So you can't wait too long and be too reactionary. So reading all the signals is quite important. Right now, they need to have, everybody talks about visibility, but to have visibility in an operation, in an application, in an enterprise, in an industry, in a global sense, is becoming more and more paramount. So what we have seen, especially when we are looking at my industry, which is more into high-tech electronics manufacturing, the chip shortage issue was a critical issue which crippled us, which affected us quite a bit. But nevertheless, there are strategies that can be deployed, good supply chain strategies that can be deployed to help us to counter that. Right now, again, supply chain is one area where I think the biggest amount of risk still exists. Anything with geopolitical areas, the customer segment and supply chain are the two areas that's going to be affected. So these areas are where we are trying to strategize and see how do we leverage technology, how do we leverage relationships, how do we try to diversify and mitigate risk and keep the continuity of the business to be maintained and growing.
Dr. Prince, if we can ask you about, tell a little more about your company, SA4 Group or NEST Group, SA4 Technologies and NEST Group. Its operation, you already said that is into electronic manufacturing. What are the geographies that the manufacturing happens? What is the workforce that are working in with IT? Probably that will help me ask you better questions.
Right. So that's a good way to start as well. So when we look at SA4 Technologies, the impression that you get is you're manufacturing, you have a factory that's doing one line of production. But the uniqueness and the complexity that SA4 has taken on its own shoulder, because that's how you want to differentiate yourself from the competition, is that we are doing more than 1,000 different products in our 28 plus factories across the world. Imagine doing 1,000 different products in these factories. So if you're doing one product, your operation is simpler because you got to bring material for one product, manage the process for one product and ship it out. But if you're doing 1,000 different products, you have to manage capacity in a complex way. You have to manage the raw materials coming in from tens of thousands of suppliers in a complex way. The bill of material and the uniqueness of bringing the assemblies together is different. Testing for each of it is different. So your design for manufacturing, design for testing, design for assembly is different. Your shipping and logistics is complex. So the whole thing requires us to, if you're trying to do it on human endeavor, you're asking for a lot of trouble. So you need to have an element of technology that comes in each place so you're able to help this sort of a business. And why do we sustain here is because this is not something that is easy for many others to do. So if you bring a gigafactory will produce one or two products, but in millions. So your volumes are going to be higher. But we are specializing in, we have high-tech factories and high-volume factories for certain products. We also have low-volume, highly specialized products. So if you're doing something like, one example, ISRO is a customer. So when ISRO is a customer, they don't have thousands of rockets going to the moon. They have one rocket going to the moon. They will need 5 or 6 transponders. So if you're doing a handful of products for them, now credit to SFO, we have products sitting on the moon. We have credit to SFO, we have a product which is on the way to the sun. If you look at Fortune 100 companies, we are giving them anything which is PCB based, integrated circuit based, controller based assemblies, manufactured in India, shipped across to them. It also goes to aerospace and defense. It goes to verticals like healthcare, transport, energy. Some of the unique cases that I can say, there's an airline for whom the in-flight entertainment system wiring is done by us because cable and wire harness is a specialty. Plastics, injection molding is a specialty. We do for large-scale manufacturers. I don't want to take the name, but servers, racks is built by us. So sheet metal, mechanical is also a specialty. We are also doing for another large Fortune 100 company. Printers and components which goes into the printers, which is manufactured in our factories and shipped out to them. So if you look at the range of products that we do, it is mind-blowing. We also do memory chips. We also do energy meters. And we also assemble an entire MRI machine for likes of GE and whatnot.
Okay.
So the new specialty that we have added on is, over the last 3 decades, SFO has accumulated a lot of engineering knowledge. Because I think the strength of a company like ours is the engineering. The amount of knowledge that we have in pure play, the most basic of engineering. From there you build out. So technology started there, and the way we have adopted technology to the hardware level, now the software level, the integration level, now the intelligence level is something that we see as the way forward.
Excellent. Yeah. So how many sites you have? All the sites, whether all the sites are owned by SFO Technologies or some are not?
We are still privately owned. We are looking to have, we are working on doing public in the next 2 years or so.
Okay.
A serious work in that sense, because at the moment in India, an organization like us is positioned so well for more and more business. This is the time to capitalize, and this is the time to scale out as well. So this is the time to get more investment in, so that we are able to, if you look at the order books, the numbers are in the billions. If you look at what we are really producing, there's a gap. So how do we really scale up to meet that? So in that sense, I think SFO is uniquely positioned for an exponential.
All the facilities are owned by SFO?
All the facilities at the moment is owned by SFO, which means that the rate of investment that you do is going to be kind of throttled a bit based on how much you can control. Which is why there's a need to look at how we can grow this further. But if you look at it, the China Plus strategy, the risk mitigation, the amount of pull that the Prime Minister himself and the Make in India programs are going, it is all encouraging us to do and invest more and to grow this sector. And
what is your model? Is it the direct to customer or through the partners?
No, we are B2B. So we are business to business. There's no distributor coming in the middle. The distributor only comes in the middle if you're buying components from a distributor, raw material which may be aggregated by somebody. But otherwise, it's all, I wish I could take the names of the companies that we work with, but those are, you can say, Fortune 100 companies.
Excellent. Prince, that means you are dealing with a multiple kind of people, and headcount might be in thousands or more than that. So what are the typical challenges you face while communicating with them, empowering them with the right technology?
So, from an employee perspective, I think we are probably around 8,000 plus at the moment. So, there's a lot of workforce in the factory. There's the workforce in engineering. Then the rest of the support units.
Yes.
We call it support units, may not be the right term in a digital economy. But at the end of the day, what we want to do, even as the head of IT for the group, I'm supporting your production. At the end of the day, if production doesn't happen,
Right.
me being a digital head doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So for me, I'm only concerned about is the plant running.
Okay.
So now to make the plant to run, what all is needed towards the supplier, towards the customer, internally, this is what I try to bring together and make it streamlined. So for all these types of users that we have, the operators will only need to be given access to things that need for their task-based. Engineering teams will need a lot more creative tools, design tools, AI tools, integrated tools, and we also need to develop some tools by ourselves. So recently we're also looking to enable or expand our capability because we also have a digital arm. So with the hardware, we're also doing a hell of a lot of software products, which has also gone beyond manufacturing, but also with the capability, with software, we're able to have a presence in BFSI. In the Middle East, we have a strong presence in BFSI with Nest products. And the latest one is testing. So we've got two areas. One is R&D as a service and testing as a service.
Okay.
So these are two capabilities that we have now grown and we are able to deliver to customers who might say, I have a concept of a product. Can you help do the R&D and come out with the details?
Right.
Can you come up with the proto so we can look at making it certified for production? At the same time, we also need to have a way to test this. And how do you test this? Typically, the customers will be telling us, but if you're doing all this, we are also designing testing. That's another big part of the business which is growing.
It's a big task that is there on top of your head. Definitely, there must be a lot of challenges, and you must be looking at new technologies. And one of the technologies is Gen AI, which is being used to ease out the pressure on the workforce. So, what is your experience so far? Have you started creating use cases with Gen AI?
So that's a tough one, right? So everybody is expecting you to be already using it because you go to talk to anybody, they're saying my product is now already AI enabled.
Yes.
Now, from the last maybe year and a half when the conversation really started, right now people are, from a consumer perspective, they're fully exposed to Gen AI, from a ChatGPT, Gemini perspective. From an enterprise perspective, the use cases that we try to do because we want to have control on what we want to try and do. So we have worked on pilot products, where especially when I mentioned supply chain is an area which is important for us. If supply chain goes wrong, our profitability can be vanished, can be wiped out. So we have put in a scenario where we are trying to see for the production that is needed, do we have material? One basic thing. So if I don't have components, I can't run the factory.
Right.
So is component available for the plant that I've created for this month or the next 3 months? So that's one thing which if you manually try and do, there's a way to do it, but with an application of AI and exposing it to the data that we have and running the algorithms, we are now able to say we have a 70% confidence level on the plan. So that's a way to start by saying, okay, if you only have 70% confidence level on the plan, where is the 30% gone? Why don't we look at those exception areas? So why does it say it's at risk? What is the risky areas? It might come down to small things like we have 15 components which doesn't look like it's going to get delivered on time. Now that's incredibly useful information to know earlier, because then you can take action. Not on production day or not 2 days from production. The lead times, all these need to be factored. So that is one scenario. The other scenarios we're trying to look at is on the AI and on the cybersecurity and the correlation part. So a lot of logs are being collected.
Yeah.
The partners are also giving us a lot of information there. We're also trying to see how we can leverage this a little better, because when we look at customers like the aerospace customers, they audit us very frequently.
Right.
Healthcare customers come and audit us. When they come and audit us, we need to be compliant to 27001, SOC 2, GDPR, and a few more of those. Now, for us, we need to have our own mechanism to say, I'm giving this response to this customer. For that, we are trying to have a solution built where we're able to integrate all this and give a posture.
Okay.
How are we looking? How are we how is our health in terms of security standards and across all the layers. So that's the second area that we're looking at. Third area is, and this is where I'm more excited about, because we just started a digital transformation project.
Okay.
This is probably the biggest transformation that SFO has done in the last 15, 20 years. When you're doing this transformation, we also made sure that this is a digital transformation which is actually leveraging all emerging technology, including AI, because if you look at it, every process now can be thought of differently.
Okay.
Apply the AI thought process into every business process at the moment, so that you're able to enable them to be faster, better, and a little bit more improved. Because while the project may have a budget of 30, 50 crores or whatever, if you're able to do this improvement, bring about 1%, 0.5% improvement, this project pays for itself in 1 year, or less than that.
All right, then. Okay, so what are you exploring in this expo? Is it the customers or the new technology that you are trying?
Right now, I'm just traveling back from the US, looking at some cybersecurity products that we are looking at, that we are interested in. Here also, I see there are areas for different segments. Dubai is one area where you might be surprised by somebody adopting something which you have not seen. So I'm hoping to see, will I see anything like that? The other part is, of course, I'm trying to also see the question you asked on AI use cases. I want to see, is there something that people have done here which is being demonstrated, which might be
Helpful
insightful for me. That's one. So cyber area, AI area, and the rest of the innovations that the partners are doing. If they're showcasing something new, because it's likely that at GITEX they'll be showcasing some new feature, because it's the event where you want to announce it to the world.
All right, Dr. Prince, thank you very much for walking into our booth and speaking to audiences which are obviously your peer group. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.